Hey, this is Wileen Benson, and you are on the Daily Gratitude Call, where we start every day in gratitude. Gratitude is the highest energy state that we can be in. It creates a frequency of positive vibration that attracts positive experiences into our lives. Hey, everybody, this is Wileen Benson. This is our Daily Gratitude Call. Super grateful for all of those who are on our call today live, and also those who are joining us in the podcast. Today is Memorial Day, and as we were doing our rounds of gratitude before we started the recording, several things were mentioned about a brother in the Air Force, grandpa who served, grateful for the military who is fighting for our freedoms and who has fought for our freedoms, grateful for our freedom of religion, and a lot of family time with family time, family living and passed on. Was so much gratitude with not with the military, I think, especially because it's Memorial Day, but also family seems to be really prevalent today. And to me, it felt like there was definitely a connection with sacrifice. And I know in family, there is a lot of sacrifice that happens just in little things, in someone cooking a meal for the whole family. You know, there's a little bit of sacrifice there of caring for more than just one person. So I feel like sacrifice is the word that we're going to focus on today. So gratitude for sacrifice. And I'm going to set the timer for 90 seconds. We're going to have a private silent meditation on gratitude for sacrifice, and just write down whatever comes to you. Begin. My voice is a little raspy the last few days, and so I'm obviously going to be staying in, not going anywhere for a couple of weeks. I don't feel sick at all, but just aware of that. So I apologize for my voice not being 100% today. With the word sacrifice, the phrase "a time to mourn" came to me. And sacrifice doesn't always mean giving your life, but in a way it does, whether that means whether that life is forfeited, for a higher cause or something like that. That does happen. I think also a person can give their life in life to for a cause and for a better world, to create a better world. Someone can give their life in service. And when there is where there is sacrifice, usually, not always, sometimes it's not known, sometimes it's anonymous or just not seen by other people, but it becomes, there's honor and respect that accompanies sacrifice. And when I think about sacrifice that brings honor and respect, it's not martyrdom. And that there are definitely, and when I say that, I'm talking about like giving a life of service in life where it could be labeled martyrdom. And I know that that's a negative, that's a counterfeit of sacrifice that would bring honor and respect. So there's sacrifice that is uplifting and serving, truly serving other people in a way that is positive. And yeah, I'm sure you get what I mean. And then there's also sacrifice that, like, I might see as a sacrifice for myself, but the way that it's provided is not uplifting or not doesn't work for the other person or for the world or whatever it is that I'm sacrificing for. And then it kind of turns into a martyrdom. It's my own decision of how I choose to sacrifice, but it may not be the best way for others. And I'm just kind of seeing the duality of sacrifice and how it can be a good thing and how it can also be destructive. Who else has something that they would like to share?
I'll share.
Okay.
We were watching a program last night and something was said that I just really hadn't thought about before. We celebrate Memorial Day to honor those who have given their lives for our freedoms, and Veterans Day is for the veterans that are still living. It's just something I hadn't thought about before. But I'm really grateful for the sacrifice that has made it. The phrase that popped out was, sacrifice brings forth the blessings of heaven. And I don't know so much why, but that's just from a church hymn. And then you just talked about martyrdom, and that song is from, that phrase is from the song about Joseph Smith, who was a true martyr for religious freedom. And just, I've been reading the saints and all of the persecutions that they went through, and it's just really interesting to me. And so I'm grateful for the sacrifices of our pioneers, as well as the sacrifices, everything that our past ancestors have been through have brought us to where we are. So I'm really grateful for all that we have that we can give them credit for.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you. I hadn't really put those two together. I'm sure that, I know that my grandpa was honored on Veterans Day when he was alive. And I know that in Memorial Day, we go to the memorials and the cemeteries, and we honor the people who have passed on. But I hadn't really put those two together, that Veterans Day is to honor those who are living and Memorial Day is to honor those who are dead. And I appreciate you, because I know as soon as I said martyrdom, I thought of that too, that there are people who have died for a specific purpose and cause that really sealed their testimony with their death, our forefathers even, and those people who die on the battlefield, fighting for our freedoms. Those are definitely appreciated. And so I appreciate you making that distinction, because I definitely didn't mean to, to call that a counterfeit for those who died for those purposes that were, and again, that did truly make a difference for us. I think of William Tinsdale, I think his name was, who died because he was trying to bring the Bible to everyday people, was burned at the stake for that. And that, his work somebody else was inspired to continue his work on. And that's why we have the Bible today. So yeah, I feel like there's a definite distinction, and it's when I take on my role, if I choose that role versus being called to serve or having an assignment to serve in a particular capacity, knowing in my heart, that that's my calling, versus, choosing something of my own. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
There is definitely a connection. What was really interesting, the program that we were watching last night, it was those veterans who were still alive that were telling the stories of the fallen dead. And just, those are the ones, just giving them honor. Was really, really good.
Well, such a fine line, isn't it? But a huge chasm at the same time between martyrdom and true sacrifice. Not martyrdom, between true sacrifice and a counterfeit sacrifice is what I meant to say. Who else has something that they would like to share?
Just while we were pondering and writing, I thought of all of the people throughout history besides our military who have given their lives, and like Jesus Christ is the first and foremost and has really made our progression possible. And also all of those people who sacrificed, not all of them died, but all the people who sacrificed to bring us the Bible. And then, like you've mentioned, people who sacrificed to bring us the Book of Mormon, and what a blessing that is, and what a blessing. And even our country, people died for our country, and how often we take that for granted. And I think that if we did a better job of teaching our youth of what was sacrificed so that they could have the freedoms that they enjoy, I think we would guard it more closely.
Beautiful. Thank you. As you were talking, I definitely want to acknowledge Jesus Christ. His death made life for all of us possible. That is like the perfect example of a sacrifice that was definitely worthy and very needed. Something you mentioned about, teaching our children about what was the sacrifice that was required for the freedoms. I feel like in our day and probably throughout history, there have been people who have been fighting to give away our freedoms. And if we truly were acknowledging the blood sacrifice and the time and the energy and the what people had to do and have to do on a daily basis to maintain our freedom, I just think we speak a lot of times so flippantly, and like we deserve certain things. But I think that is something that we can do to really show that our gratitude for those freedoms that we have is fighting for our freedom every day. And even something as small as fighting for our freedom, seemingly so small, as fighting for our freedoms from our limiting beliefs, fighting for our freedom to maintain a happy household, fighting, for our freedom to pursue happiness, to step out of our comfort zones, to do things that, I have a friend who lives in Belgium, and she was telling me that a woman in business is almost unheard of. And if a woman does step out of the norm, the social norm, to actually be an entrepreneur. She said that the woman cannot risk failure. If there's a failure in business when it's a female entrepreneur, it's like that is it's a death sentence to her future career as an entrepreneur. So, I think about the freedom that we have to try and fail, to try and then fail and then try again, choose something different, move forward in a different capacity, and for us to fight for those freedoms that we have to speak out, to share a message, to give our hearts, to gather other people to us. And if it's not the right path, we can choose again. There's so much that we really do take for granted, and I think it would be awesome if we fought for that more. Any last thoughts before we shift over to our permission process?
I do have one more stuff.
I want to share too.
Go Rachel and then Tyree.
So I just loved listening to all the examples of sacrifice with the Savior, with Joseph Smith, with family members in the war and everyone. And I really feel like every sacrifice was made for a higher purpose, and that they did do it to give their hearts, and they did do it to honor and respect us and God. And I just want to add mothers to the list. I really feel they give their hearts and they sacrifice everything to bring forth children. And all of these examples brought forth the blessings of heaven. And I'm just feeling a lot of gratitude. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Tyree.
I was just going to give the thought just to think about, or if you have anything to add. What do we need to, when do we need to fight, and when do we just need to protect? Do you understand what I'm saying? Anyway.
Thank you. I feel like that might be a long discussion because there's a lot, that could play into that. We could definitely talk about that more. I actually had the thought, to serve and to protect is the sort of the motto of our police officers. And I'm feeling that that might apply to our military as well. I know for, there's definitely physical battle that happens, also technical, the higher, whatever, there's a lot of sophisticated machinery and weaponry that we have now that's not necessarily hand-to-hand combat like it used to be. But I think fighting is something that we do, but we are always doing it for the purpose to serve and protect. Does anyone else have another thought they would like to share? Thanks, Tyree, for bringing that up. If you have other questions about that, or if anybody else would like to have a further discussion on that, go to the Facebook group, Breakthrough with Gratitude, and just open that up. And I'm sure that would be an awesome discussion today on Memorial Day. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath. And I invite you to, let's go ahead and actually take this idea of fighting to serve and protect into our meditation. And I invite you to just be aware of all the different areas of your life where you feel like you have been fighting. And just be more aware, allow yourself to be open to receive where that idea that fighting is necessary is coming from. And what we might consider sacrifice might just be fighting. And one more deep breath. And just allow yourself to be in a state to be shown, to be taught, to understand this balance of fighting versus serving and protecting, and that fighting might be necessary at some times. And what the difference of energy, like the motivation, the purpose behind each of those is. In your role as mother, in your role as daughter or son of God, in your role as wife or husband, parent, all those different roles to serve and to protect, and that occasionally fighting is necessary, and at other times love, always in love actually. And just see what you can learn. And as you're getting some insights into these ideas surrounding sacrifice, what is the one most important thing that you could do today that would invite love and would allow you to settle in more fully to true sacrifice that is honorable and that is serving? What is the one most important thing that you can do today to step more fully into true sacrifice? And then as you're getting more clear with what that first step, that inspired shortcut is today to get into true sacrifice, what is the limiting belief that has also been coming up for you about sacrifice? And as you look at that limiting belief, compare that to what you've learned about the truth of sacrifice. And do they match up? Do they align, or are they in conflict? And if you're seeing that they're in conflict, you know that every limiting belief there comes a cost. And so what is the cost of being in the counterfeit of sacrifice, honoring this limiting belief? And if you don't like that cost and you don't like being in counterfeit anymore, you want to step more fully into the truth of sacrifice, you can give yourself permission to do that by saying yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. So what are some new beliefs? Let's choose some new beliefs, 2 or 3 new beliefs that will serve you in allowing you to step out of the counterfeit of sacrifice into the truth of sacrifice. New beliefs that will allow you to be in service in a way that is for a higher purpose, as Rachel was saying, that will allow you to step into the role or calling called of God to serve in this higher capacity. And when you start seeing that this way, noticing that sacrifice is not maybe what you had envisioned before, that it doesn't have to be putting on a sad face and putting your physical needs last. That sacrifice from this perspective is a joy. It's a beautiful thing. It's something that we would choose every day. Take another deep breath. Bring those new beliefs in. Allow yourself to be changed from the inside. Your heart be changed, your very fibers of your being, the cells, everything. Bring those new beliefs in and this new understanding of what sacrifice means. And just allow it to settle on you like a mantle on as a calling. And feel that gratitude. The hand of God has given you the means by which to fulfill your calling, almost like a king knighting a man and to take on the role to serve and protect, or someone in our military to take that oath to serve and protect. That it is coming from love. We have just a couple of minutes to share. I do want to invite anybody that would like to have a further conversation with me. If you're struggling with this counterfeit versus truth in sacrifice, or if there's anything else that you're wishing to talk about further, go to askwilene.com. That will take you directly to my calendar, and you can schedule a 15-minute call with me. It's a free call, and I'd love to have that conversation with you. Who has something that they would like to share about their experience today?
I'll share.
Okay, Tammy, and then Rachel.
So my limiting belief was that sacrifice has to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And my new beliefs are I'm focused on the purpose, love, and gratitude in every sacrifice I get to make. And then my second one I have is I am fully prepared for any sacrifice I experience.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tammy. And the thought that came to me is when it's true sacrifice, there's a boldness and just like a confidence and courage, I think, that really propels that person forward to fulfill, whatever it is that needs to happen. And I think that we get a false sense of what sacrifice looks like because the person on the outside looking in, looking at that sacrifice, when we're honoring those who have died in the military, it's like I look at that as I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to give my life. I'm so grateful that other people are willing to do that. And so it seems like a hard thing, me looking at it on the outside, but yet I see myself doing the sacrifices that I do, what other people might think, wow, that's really hard, like doing this gratitude call every day. There's like a handful of times in the last 4 years or however long we've been doing it that I have not been on the call. And some people might look at that as a sacrifice, but it's pure joy. If I can be on here at all, if there's ever, if there's even one little tiny bit of a reason why how I can be on here, like if I'm not on my deathbed, if I'm not, in the hospital or something, or if I don't sleep in occasionally, sometimes that happens, but I'm here. And it's because it is such a joy and it's so fulfilling to me. So other people might look at that as a sacrifice or hard, but for me, it's a joy. And it's something that I choose to do. Rachel.
I just want to say thank you for making true sacrifice come so clear in my heart and mind right now. It's really blessing my life. The thing that came up for me, the limiting belief, was I'm protecting my family, my marriage, and my baby inside of me. because I'm on bed rest now, but I'm protecting them out of fear. And I was really grateful to switch that fear to being motivated to love. And so my new beliefs are: I'm motivated to sacrifice from pure love. I'm in service in true sacrifice. I'm fulfilling my higher purpose with gratitude. I'm blessed with the blessings of heaven. I'm filled with joy beyond measure. And I have been given the means to fulfill my calling.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you. I think you have hit the nail on the head as far as like the difference between true sacrifice and a counterfeit sacrifice too. The true sacrifice is motivated by love. The counterfeit sacrifice would be motivated by sort of like an ego, wanting others to see how much I am sacrificing. It's the fear that I'm not going to be accepted, or the fear that I won't be worth anything if people don't see that what I'm doing. There's definitely a fear that's associated with a false sacrifice. Thank you. That helped to clarify that in my mind. Any last thoughts before we end our call today?
Yeah, that was really good, and it really solidified the thing. I'll just share my new belief is to find more joy in sacrifice. I mean, but it really was more, I am motivated I'm motivated by having more love in service and more joy in serving others. So, but Rachel said it so much better.
Beautiful.
It was just really beautiful.
That does help to bring more clarity, though, Kathy. I appreciate that. I almost feel like we can't call it a sacrifice. That a person who is out on the military field, they're probably not thinking, I'm going out here to sacrifice. We, on the outside, again, see it as a sacrifice, but they see it as service. They see it as serving their country. There's the difference right there. Is serving is true sacrifice, and serving in a way that we are called, and when it is motivated by love. That feels like a really good way, ending, kind of bringing it all together. So thank you all for being on the call today. This was a really good discussion. I feel like this area is very misunderstood, and especially when fear gets thrown into it. And so I'm super grateful that we've had this time to focus on this today, and for all that everybody has brought to the table. I love you guys. I wish we can continue. This has been really awesome, but we will go ahead and close our call today. Look forward to being back together 7 a.m. Mountain Time tomorrow. And love you guys. Hope you have an awesome Memorial Day.
Thank you so much. Happy Memorial Day.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. And I encourage you to tune in every day to the Daily Gratitude Call. And the Daily Gratitude Call happens live every weekday morning. I'd love to have you join. So to find out how to join live, go to my website, WileenBenson.com. Thanks for tuning in.